wasn't fair in Washington where Ron Rivera's like, oh, yeah, I didn't want him. He sucks. So I think Carson Wentz deserves a chance with the Jets, and I think you can be a more competitive team if you put Carson Wentz on that roster, because some of the Philadelphia teams, one of the teams he took to the playoffs where you had backup quarterbacks from college playing wide receiver on that team, it was pretty impressive how he was holding that team together. Ended up getting hit in the playoff game, but I think Carson Wentz for the Jets to step up for Aaron Rodgers for a year, it's like, give yourself a chance, because he's a bigger, stronger, more physical guy, and he can make all of the throws.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they need to go out and get a veteran, and all the guys available outside of Carson Wentz, you're talking about like some older guys like a Joe Flacco, like an Andy Dalton if they were to, move him from Carolina. And then some other guys that are just old. I don't want Matt Ryan on the Jets right now. He should be just a commentator at this point. And then maybe you go and try to get Gardner Minshew from the Colts. But Carson Wentz is there. He's a free agent. You don't have to pay him much. And he has the highest ceiling of everybody that's available. Plus, he hasn't really had a Garrett Wilson level talent on his offense to this point. And it all comes back down to that Colts season where everyone blamed it on Carson Wentz, even though their defense let them down and Jonathan Taylor had a bad game against the Jags. They didn't make the playoffs, but they were 9-8, and with the right offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett proved it in Green Bay that he can be a good offensive coordinator. I think if they can mitigate the mistakes with Carson Wentz, they're going to still be in the mix. They have a great defense. What they need is a guy who's not going to make a bunch of mistakes, and I think Carson Wentz can be that guy.
Yeah, I think Carson Wentz will definitely be that guy for the Jets. I don't know if they'll call him. I don't know if he's taken a break from football or just lost the passion for it, but go out there, give yourself a chance at least. Actually try for it, because Aaron Rodgers did restructure his deal, and then he's someone what you're going to get from him. You're going to get some wild games. Some Ben Roethlisberger-esque, but you'll also get some really solid games where with the Colts, he had a bad last game versus the Jags. However, it's a house of horrors for the Colts franchise. You're a history buff. Like, the Colts historically struggle in Jacksonville no matter how bad the Jags are. And then he had a really good statistical year that year. He didn't throw too many interceptions. He wasn't a turnover machine that year by any means. And Michael Pittman was his one. Like, Garrett Wilson is much better than Michael Pittman.
Yeah, he had 27 touchdowns to 7 picks that year.
Yeah.
And had a decent QBR. And again, like, you're talking about the weapons wise, like, his number one weapon was Jonathan Taylor. Nothing wrong with that, but could definitely do better offensively. Goes to New York. He's got Garrett Wilson. He'll have the Adam Lazards and the Breece Halls of the world. Delvin Cook too. Like, they have a lot of talent, and their defense is a hell of a lot better than that Colts team that they had.
Yeah.
The Commanders, they had no offensive line. They had no help around him, and they didn't give him a chance. You're going into a new system with a new coach, and you basically gave him 4 games to figure it out with no help.
Yeah.
So
a bad O-line too.
A terrible, like, bottom of the league offensive line, and expect him to piece things together. It just wasn't fair. And then the coach saying he doesn't want you. Like, what are we doing here?